Good morning, everybody. See, we got 5 people joining up, and there'll be a couple more joining in from the layout photos of the month. Um, yeah, sorry, I didn't have as much time to watch them uh, as I was rushing to. I was rushing to get all my setup going again. So last weekend I lost my previous setups, including, I don't know if you noticed, but the layout photos of the month are slightly different. Backup problems. So anyways, let's see who we got so far in the show here. Andy, Hot Dog Pilot, is the first one in, followed by Liz. Nice to see you, Liz. I haven't seen you in a while. Liz with Windsor Valley Railroad. Next in was my brother Dan in Ohio. And then JP down in SoCal. Dwight, Curly Express. Thanks for being here, Dwight. And I guess we lost Dats. Dats was over on the show. Maybe he's coming in. And as usual, hi, Mom. And so let's go and see if we could switch the scene here. Boy. There we go. Yeah, things are a little bit different in OBS at the moment. I thought I had this set up so I could transition. Okay, I have some other settings to take care of, but this is instantaneous now. So there's Rocky, and behind him is a little box from this huge Lego Christmas tree. And let's put Santa is right there in front of Rocky. Wow. Quite a big difference in scale there. Yeah, so let's see. Post office, let's see. Guess the post office not call me back, tell me where Mrs. Package is. It even says it was delivered. Yeah, that's not cool. Not cool at all. Let's see if we can improve the looks and feels on these comments so people can see them and I don't have to post them there. So yeah, I live in a place end of a dead-end street, so while we have had package porch thieves so far, knocking on the wood table here, I have not lost package to that way. Ah, yes. Ben is back in action, so he had a little bit of a scare yesterday. He got a shower, and during the shower, he got shampoo in his eye, and then that led to an expensive trip to the vet. Yes, but he's doing great now. What? That's crazy, Dwight. That's just crazy. All right, should we switch back to the main scene? Okay, you're seeing a different view today, obviously, so you can see behind me my Lego, some of my Lego collection up there. But yeah, we're not in the training room today. I am working on a number of projects in there to follow up on, now I want to make sure that I get the power available to the sub road bed, and the sub road bed is fastened down tightly. Yeah, it's kind of the library. It's more like, in fact, those are the only books. You can see behind my head. And then I've got, there's more books in my downstairs office. What's behind me? Yeah, look, there's some more Lego behind me in the closet. And what's in the closet? Games. My collection of games. So, for those who don't know, I collect too many things. What do I collect? Vinyl records. I have over 100 albums, old and new. I've got Legos. Lots of Legos, mostly the architecture series. Some trains. Lots and lots of trains. I need trains. Lots and lots of trains. Okay. Who's that? Yeah. So, what else do we got? Games, board games. Collect those too. And then I collected patches for space flights. Okay. Yeah, mail has always been interesting, but yeah, it's. I would say I have different experiences with the U.S. mail than other people. U.S. mail in my area seems to be more reliable. Prime is fairly reliable for me. Sometimes they'll deliver it to my neighbor's house. One time a package even got delivered on the street over, and the people were nice enough to bring it all the way over to my house. That was great of them. Anyhow, so what's going on? I mean, this is the first show of December. We're already to December, the end of the year. So as you can see, going over to the second camera here, that we've got Santa has got a bag of goodies there. So, yeah. And I agree with you, Liz. I actually know most of my neighbors. There's only a couple people I don't know. They tend to be they keep to themselves. But and then there's a new neighbor that just moved into the home across the street where my neighbor Bob, rest in peace, used to live. So yeah, it's glad to see that his estate got settled and the house can once again be occupied and people can have a home out of it. And they're busy with that. So who knows? Probably one of the reasons why Mr. Brown is barking. And I figure out which microphone. What microphone are we on? What's this say here? Oh, I'm on the iPhone microphone. Why are we not on the AirPods? All right. Can you still hear me? Switched the microphone over to the AirPods. Yeah. Okay. So let's see. Let me catch up on what JP is saying. My plan is to have the main line running, but most I may get is to the supports and the sub road bed on the upper level done by the end of the year. Okay, and everybody can hear me loud and clear. Okay, great, great news, JP. And similar to me, well, I could 5 by 6, 5 by 5, or this whatever this means. I have no idea. Uh, 6, 7. Oof, I don't know what that is. Don't know. 67, 6, 7. I don't know. Something that everybody started saying. Maybe that's already done with. Um, so I could go on to the second level, and I could lay temporary track that went all the way over to the the place where all the junk is at now, which is on the peninsula. But I'm holding off on that. I can run trains, although we did have it reliably run. The work train reliably ran up in back. One of the downsides to that is, wow, it takes a long time. Yes, exactly. Uh, it's nonsense. It means nothing. As do a lot of our phrases. Am I not correct? And there we go. Closet Bench is here. Welcome, Dads, to the show. The older generation picked it up, so it's as dead as what, yeah, or what up? Anybody remember that? So that's a great segue. Earlier today I was watching this little show uh, about the engines that replaced the big boy. And for those of you that don't know, Big Boy pulled freight trains on the Union Pacific line over Sherman Hill. So it really was in that high plains, high desert that went through Wyoming. Um, hey, Pete Motley, my my brother in Tigard. I'll see ya. Thanks for dropping in, Pete. So yeah, so big boys pulled the trains over Sherman Hill. They they were coal burning. For those of you that don't know, the one conversion that they did do, they pulled the 4014 out of display about 10 years ago. I forget exactly when they did that. It was down in Southern California. They pulled it up to the shop in Cheyenne, Wyoming, and they retrofitted it to oil burning. But originally they were all coal burning, and they burned a lot of coal. Um, I think I don't recall, but it was something like 11 tons of coal per, not per mile, but it burned a lot of coal. So they replaced that. Yeah, I was going to say Pomona, but thanks, JP, for that reminding me. Um, anyways, thanks for saying hello to everyone in the chat. Hey, Darren Faulkner, how do you do? Oh, now we've got the kids outside. Okay, so let's not get distracted. We're sticking on Big Boy. So Big Boy pulled trains over there, and then it got to be really expensive to keep everything going. I mean, when it was running in the World War II era, when when workers were short due to the war, but they still kept it going. And I don't know if you realize it, to how large those of us that model maybe in the steam era might think about it, but um, how large the installations were to maintain steam engines. And Cheyenne was no exception to that. It was a significant size. So you had this massive you had a big turntable that could turn the big boys. So that must have been, it was 130-foot long. It also had this huge roundhouse it was massive. But that was a common sight in the day. That you have turntables that take up room. Um, you'd have big wooden roundhouses, um, and all the things that go along maintaining steam, including coaling facilities, sanding facilities, water, and then other shops that are necessary to do that. So, in order to keep the trains running, you have to have a whole bunch of stuff. And I think there were thousands of people, even in Cheyenne, that worked the Union Pacific yard. So once diesel started to come out, that announced kind of like the end of it. But there was a brief time where they introduced a new train, a new engine that was going to rule the West. And that was the steam turbines. So if you don't know what a steam turbine is, think about a jet engine mounted into um, what is the tender, what we think of as the tender of the uh, the E unit or F unit looking thing. So I, I I should be better prepared next time, but I do have one of those models that I picked up. It was in consignment. Also, back in the day, at one of the meet and greets, Sparky gave Roy Smith a similar one of these models. So right now, there are, I think, two of those preserved. There's one in Utah, and there's another one that might be, it's either in California or it's in another shop, but there's only two of these steam turbines left. Anyways, why they're talking about steam turbines? Well, they had massive pulling power, as similar to the big boy, but they had a few things that made them really non-palatable. First of all, they were super loud, so they called them. So you know how the big boy is called the big boy. Yeah, thanks, JP. Yeah, Challenger is, let's see, a 4664, and Big Boy is a 4884. Okay, yeah. Penzi S2 is a steam turbine. Yeah, so they make a lot of noise. The other thing is the exhaust. I don't know if you've seen or heard about jet engine exhaust, but they run through a lot of, yeah, the Challenger was also uh, on the Union Pacific. And also there was another one that was a 210-2 that was non-articulated. I don't know if that had a nickname. It probably does, but a 210-2. The one reason why they stopped running that was because it couldn't navigate some of the other curves that they had to go through. Um, okay, so big blow. So the exhaust is shooting out the top of this tender is super hot. In fact, they had to change some things. They couldn't run it in the city sometimes because if it went under underpass, it was so hot it could it could melt the pavement, the tarmac, or the blacktop as we call it in the U.S. It could make that super soft because it was so hot. I mean, we're talking about 800 to 1,000 degrees. I don't know. It's really hot. So that was the other thing. So noise, heat, and that didn't bother the Union Pacific. But what did bother the Union Pacific were called the bean counters. The bean counters started to look at it and say, hey, this thing Costs like at least it burns 50% more fuel, and it burns this fuel that was cheap, which is bunker C, not diesel, bunker C. So a bunker C also requires bunker C is what is in these ships. It's a really tarry stuff. You have to preheat it in order to burn it because it's like tar, so you can't even move it around without heating it up. And that required a special tender. So they had, let's think about it. We've got the locomotive part, which had both a diesel electric motor for yard moving around. So it's got a prime mover in the front part of the cab. Just it's think about that as like an E unit. It then had something that you thought of as a tender, which wasn't the tender. That's where the diesel turbine, that's where the steam turbine sat. And then you've got the tender following that that contained the necessary, if it was steam, it had water, and you've also got what do you got? So actually, to tell you the truth, I'm not even sure they were steam turbines. I think they were actually just jet turbines. I think there's a difference. In fact, I should look that up. I will. We'll look that up, but not right now. So jet turbines is a different thing. So jet turbine, much like what's in a turboprop, much like what's in a jet engine. You've got that jet engine, it's spinning a shaft, and off that shaft, then you've got gearing to actually drive the drivetrains. Yeah, gas turbines are what we're talking about here. Yep, just like the veranda. And the gas turbines, like again mentioned earlier, those are called the big blow because the loud noise they made. Anyway, so the bean counters got to looking at it, and sometimes these engines, while they could pull a lot, they cost 3 times as much as the diesels of the era to operate per mile. I read that, and initially Bunker C was widely available. However, it started being used for other purposes, and the prices went up. So it went from being a great thing to being a huge liability. The other part about it is this thing could burn like 10 to 15 gallons of bunker C per mile. Think about that. Think about that. So now, diesel engines, even the ones these days, probably burn gallons per mile, but not that much. So you know that if you look at your models for your diesels, there's huge diesel tanks there underslung there, and that's why. Similar things for those of you who are truck drivers. Um, it's a different gallon per mile uh, calculation for diesel trucks than it is for passenger cars, and that's why you've got these huge tanks on diesel trucks. Um, and I don't know the miles per gallon figures on diesel trucks, so we won't get into that. But one of the reasons why you have that big truck, those big tanks, is because you don't want to have. There we go. On a good day for a truck, it's 8 miles per gallon. Now, to contrast that with another thing, let's talk about this. And this is one of the things that people thought this would never be successful. The Abrams tank is a gas turbine as well. So this thing doesn't burn it doesn't burn bunker C. It burns things like kerosene or like aviation fuel. Okay. Um, that's also listed in gallons per mile, not miles per gallon. Yep. Unless you're going uphill, in which case, uh, yeah. Yeah, so that's the final one of the well, you know what? Back in the day, companies didn't really give a dang about things, but they did get a lot of complaints. Bunker C burning, super sooty, leaves a specific smell, and so there's along the track side, and even in cities, if you had that just spewing out, um, you don't get a complete burn in a jet engine, and it's super sooty because it's like tar, right? So you warmed up tar and you're burning that. So brother Dan to the rescue here. Let's see what Grok says. Grok is the AI on X. Says current diesel locomotives pulling freight train will burn 3.5 to 5 gallons per mile. So you can see it's still within that realm that you got about 3 to 5 times more fuel consumed. Now, you can't exactly compare diesel to bunker C as far as how much um, how much BTUs or how much horsepower can you get out of a specific gallon. And I'm sure people got figures on that as well. So where else is bunker C even today? Bunker C, I believe, is burnt on ocean going ships, but it's not allowed to be burnt when you get close to shore. There are regulations now where they have to burn cleaner fuel because it pollutes so badly. So the many ships were forced to turn over to dual running um, engines, and they have things to allow them to switch between those kind of fuels. Anyhow, so how do I get into all the different places where you might see that? Let's get back to the big blows. The big blows. They didn't last that long. They were going to be the second coming of the big boy, and they turned out to be not that great. Um, so how do I get there? So I got to thinking about that. We need to remember things about what it took. So what did it take to run steam engines? It took hundreds and thousands of people to run steam engines. And the big blow, it came in and they replaced it, but its downtime was larger than the big boy. I mean, the big boys, they said maybe 85% of the time you could call on a big boy and it'd be ready to go out. Not so much for the big blows. The big blows tend to break down and they were only available 50% of the time. So their days were numbered. In fact, to save additional money, you would see lash ups of big blows uh, with diesels at the same time, uh, just to save money there. That's okay. So that's kind of like my topic for the day that I tend to I've watched some stuff about recently, and as one of my friends says, I have the gift of gab, so I'm able to just carry on with this conversation. But it's very interesting to just explore some of these things of how did things work before? How much people were involved in different kind of things? What was life like in New York City before the automobile came along? It was a smelly place, I'll tell you that much. Um, the failures that they also had up north, some of the most innovative things that happened there, right? You had the cab forwards, which I need to acquire an N scale one of these days. The cab forwards were invented for those tunnels in the Sierras, I believe, or for on mountain runs, because if you were running a large locomotive, if you were running a large locomotive in a tunnel, um, you would smoke out, and you could even kill the engineers. Because remember, where the smoke box comes up in front of them, and then if you're in a tunnel, there's no place for that to go. It just comes back, and then if the train's not going fast enough, or how many trains are going, and they didn't have, like today, if you go through, say, most tunnels have fans running to restore the air or pull in fresh air, even for automobile fumes, which are less than what a steam or even a diesel does. The other thing about tunnels, now that I'm on tunnels, tunnel motors. What are they? So they also exist for, and I think who ran those? Southern Pacific and Denver and Rio Grande, at least were two of the companies, the railroad companies that ran tunnel motors. Tunnel motors, what are they? They're there so that the air intakes are not in a different location on the diesel. So you can get air coming in from the bottom, and then instead of maybe pulling it from the top. So, wow, do I, it's been cold there in Illinois. It's just it's barely December. So yeah, tunnel motors, Southern Pacific, and any place where you had a lot of tunnels would want to run tunnel motors. Why? Because you're going to also choke off that. Let's go to another place where the tunnels up north, the Great Northern and Northern Pacific tunnels that were going through the Cascades. Um, they had a different solution. In fact, diesels weren't available when they switched over, and they were some of the early adopters of electric powered trains. They ran electric powered trains through the tunnels up there. So yeah, cab forward. Yep. So cab forward is still steam engine, but because it's reverse direction, the cab's in front. The exhaust from the engine is behind the engineers, so they would be up front. They could see more clearly, and they could not only see what's up in front of them, but they could also be in clean air in tunnels. I have not. I have not seen the big boy in real life. I don't believe it made its run to Portland. Um, I don't. In fact, if it did, I missed it. But I have not seen that. How do I know that? Well, I'll get on binges on YouTube. I'll watch specific shows and keep track of that. Yeah. So the thing is, I probably keep so much of that I forget other things. So I'm not exactly. I'm a faulty encyclopedia. In fact, some of those people will know that I often like forget about. Oh, what was the name for that? Oh, viaduct. Yeah. Okay. Yes, viaduct. Oh, you missed it when it ran through Texas last year. That's unfortunate. Well, that's good and bad, JP. But I remember back in the day when I and my brother would climb all over steam engines or a steam engine that was there. Hey, Wigwag Workshop, welcome, welcome to the show. Nice of you to see. Nice to see you here. Um, so once again, we're getting close to wrapping this up. What's coming up? I don't know. Um, um, I do have a Christmas train, a Lego Christmas train coming, so maybe we'll do a live show building out parts of that. Um, I don't know exactly when that's showing up, so it's probably be here by next week. And then, of course, we've got level twos to keep updating with. Turns out I had another order from Lowell Smith that came in, but guess what? I should be more careful about ordering. I ordered, hey, I need these three blue, big sky blue, Great Northern Empire Builder coaches and domes. Oh, guess what? I already had those three. Well, we'll put them on the train and nobody will know. So now I have 12 big, big sky blue, Great Northern Empire Builder passenger cars. I could put together a passenger train, but what I'm lacking right now is I don't have the F or E units in the Big Sky Blue, so I should try to track those down. Okay, fastest one to the chopper, Dwight. Do we have the chopper? Chopper is around here somewhere. I think it's behind the screen here. Yeah, let's get to the chopper. Yeah. For those of you new to that, that's an inside joke. Another Arnold Schwarzenegger impression, bad impression by JJ. So yeah, so let's see, let's go and check in on Rocky. He's now got let's see, big hand coming in. There's the Abrams tank. There's Santa. And there you go. Oh, it looks like Santa, you better move out of the way of that gun. Okay. There we go. Well, Rocky's just hanging out. It's got that same expression that he always has, which is, what am I doing here? Okay. What are you talking about? So next week, who knows what we're doing? I don't have anything planned yet, but I didn't have anything planned for what I was going to talk about today either. Then, in about a month, the year will be done, and we'll have the layout photos of the month again. And the last Saturday is always running trains, so I will also have a couple weeks off over holidays to spend at least some time working on the layout. So we should see some more improvements happening there. Um, Lego Christmas train build, that's coming. I don't have tunnel loaders. I have SD40-2s, but I don't have any tunnel loaders. Sorry, Dats. I know they're your favorite. So we'll figure something out as usual. Somehow I continue to keep operating. We're at show 65, is it? 64 or 65, I forget. Oh, and there it is right in the title, 65. We're at show 65. we have 512 subscribers. So thanks everybody for being a subscriber. Let's throw this thing up here before I forget. And is it running? Do not see it going there. Okay. I don't see the like and subscribe running. Very interesting. Maybe I need to take something else down. Yeah, so 512 people. So we continue to get people trickling in, about a handful every month. Stormtroopers next episode order 66. Or something about Route 66. Okay. That would require that I do more active research, Dan. We missed the opportunity in show 57 to talk about Heinz 57. Route 66 through the Cajon Pass. That would be something that I should invite JP on the show to talk about. Yeah. We haven't had any guests on the show except for Dan, and that wasn't a live show. Speaking of Bunker C, some of the dregs down at the bottom of my coffee cup is starting to have that consistency. Yeah. Okay. Enough of that. All right. So, well, yes, you were live here, but we were on a recorded show. Okay. So, hey, Andy, thanks for joining us. And I like to say, in summing up, uh, thanks to everybody who continues to post to Roy Smith's Facebook page. Those photos are great. I did see Gary Walters had a lot of photos of how he weathered those tank cars. And so I actually reduced the number of photos, but they were still accounted for about a third of the total photos. It would be nice if we had more, but you know what? As time goes by, we're seeing less and less people actually post, except for the true diehards. So, hey, you don't know, but at some point, it may be the last layout photo show that we do. Just saying. But that's always been a possibility that at some point we would get just a lack of interest, and I would just, yeah, I wouldn't be able to justify doing that. But we're not there yet. We're still getting a number of people. Um, Still getting a number of people posting there, so they're still okay. But if you happen to be one of the people who forgot, make sure you post. Your photos will show up. Um, Maybe do it quarterly. Yeah, I don't know. We'll see. I mean, quarterly, the amount of work that has to go through is really around grabbing the photos and then, the timeliness of it, and even just the processing of that. I've got it down to a fairly good system now. In fact, I even improved it after I reformatted my laptop and I had to redo some things. But yeah, we'll see where it goes. It hasn't got to that point yet, but we'll see. Um, Rocky is still committed to. Uh, I'm not. No, he balked at the 5-year contract. So we still have him on retainer for another year. He's asking for more money. Yeah. So I might have to send him out on uh, loan him out to people to let them eat the blackberry bushes or something, so he can earn a living. Anyways, that's about all I got for today's show. Thanks so much for everybody who's watching right now. Thanks, hi mom again, and we will see you next week at the same time. And also, hey, there's other people on this stream, and that make sure that you're able to catch Dwight at Curly Express, catch his show. He's on, I think he's still on at 11 Central, or it's 2 hours different. It's 11 Pacific, but 1 p.m. Central, 2 p.m. East Coast time. And then, yeah, we'll get to the chopper, and I'll be back. Okay. Thanks, everybody. Have a great weekend. Seems I'm getting some sun right now. That's a great change. We'll see you on the next time. Bye bye.